Was good. So with the release of episode 41 of Jujutsu Kaisen, after years of waiting, anime onlys have finally seen Megumi Fushiguro's trump card of the 10 Shadows technique, 8-handled sword divergent Sela divine general Mahoraga. Not Makoro or Makoro, whatever that translation was, but it's Mahoraga. It's Mahoraga. The translation was wrong. Sorry about that. The reception to this episode is astounding, and it is more than deserved. The animators at MAPPA are working in extremely inhuman conditions right now, even after being denied a break from the higher up. Please, I strongly urge you, if you see these animators on any social media, please thank them for their amazing and hard work. This whole situation sucks, man, and unfortunately we really can't do anything about it over here in the West, but show our support for these amazing people. So yeah, thank you. On to a lighter note, today I wanted to talk about Big Daddy Mahoraga and kind of understand where he falls within the Jujutsu Kaisen hierarchy. Heavy spoilers for the manga concerning Jujutsu Kaisen, so if you're not caught up, please make sure you click off this video, but make sure you leave a like first. I appreciate it. Now without further ado, man, let's get right to it. So Mahoraga is the most powerful Shikigami of the 10 Shadows technique, and it is an extremely large gap between him and everything else. Don't get it twisted. Mahoraga is summoned when their user recites an incantation with this treasure I summon, and then say his entire name. I'm not saying it again, but Mahoraga is an extremely muscular bipedal creature with a white tint with a very humanoid frame, and he also has wings coming out from the side of his head, as well as a almost serpent-like tail sprouting from the back of his head. I keep saying his, but it's more of an it, really. Also, I swear to God, if I see another Mahoraga thirst trap, I'm actually going to summon a tidal wave that will level the eastern seaboard. You think I'm playing? Mahoraga has an incredible amount of physical strength, as during his fight with Sukuna, it is casually throwing buildings around and started using a train like fucking nunchucks, which actually brings me to something very interesting. In the anime, Mahoraga's size varied about 4 to 5 different times. Mahoraga went from standing about 7 to 6.5 feet tall to grabbing a train car in its palm. Now in the manga, it was never shown to be able to change its size like that to any noticeable degree anyway, besides some weird perspective things. In his fight against Sukuna, once Mahoraga was thrown into a massive body of water, I believe it was a water reservoir, it grew gills and pushed the water back out of its body. So if it can grow gills, I would not say it's a crazy stretch to say that it can also adjust its shape to something as drastic like that. Now, as to whether or not this is canon, I really like it. I think it's cool, so I'm just gonna say it's canon, and I'm sure Gege probably thinks the same thing. So listen, if you got a problem with that, argue with your mammy. I don't really care. Now, Mahoraga's main ability and why the reason it is so dangerous has to do with the wheel on its back, and that has to do with adaptation. Mahoraga can adapt to any and all phenomena that comes at him after a certain amount of time has passed. The wheel on Mahoraga's back will spin after receiving stimulus one time, and it will slowly adapt to that attack until it is immune. If Mahoraga receives an identical attack to the first, its adaptation process will speed up faster and faster rather than incrementally. Once Mahoraga is immune to the stimulus it receives, it will continue to adapt even further. Sukuna used Mahoraga to great effectiveness with his fight against Gojo at the end of the Killing Games, and ultimately Mahoraga was the deciding factor for their fight. When Mahoraga was summoned against Gojo, Gojo was immediately concerned with his presence, as besides domain amplification, Mahoraga can get through Gojo's infinity without a cursed tool like Inverted Spear of Heaven. Mahoraga's wheel is able to be placed on the summoner that Mahoraga is summoned through, as that is how Sukuna was able to have Mahoraga adapt to Unlimited Void. Sukuna used Megumi's soul to take the brunt effect of Gojo's domain expansion rather than Sukuna himself, even though he still felt the effects later. If Mahoraga's summoner has the wheel on them, that does not mean they themselves are immune, but rather that Mahoraga himself is immune. So for example, if I use Chozo's piercing blood on you, but you have Mahoraga's wheel on top of you, that does not mean you are immune, but that means that Mahoraga will start to adapt and become immune to piercing blood. That's what that means. Mahoraga was able to be goaded by Sukuna into using a slash extremely similar to Sukuna's and take Gojo's arm clean off his body, which is an extremely crazy feat. Now, whether or not that Mahoraga can actually use its user's own techniques remains to be seen. I do think that it's very peculiar how Mahoraga used almost an exact same technique that Sukuna used, and even Yuji comments on this. So I'm going to assume this is true, and if so, that makes this thing even more busted than it already is. Now, granted, most users aren't like Sukuna, and they have multiple things going on with like curse techniques and all that, but I mean, yeah, that's actually pretty stupid. Like, can you imagine if like a member of the Gojo clan somehow got their hands on the 10 Shadows technique? Hey, bro. When Mahoraga fought against Sukuna, it was constantly adapting to Sukuna's physical attacks as well as his slashes until Sukuna was able to deduce its ability. And so with this, he decided to use domain expansion, Malevolent Kitchen, Malevolent Shrine to overwhelm him with slashes before nuking it with a fire arrow so it cannot adapt fast enough. Mahoraga's biggest weakness is that one-shot attacks will seemingly kill it, which is hard considering its base strength and speed is already almost maxed out at 10. Sukuna was able to kill it in an extremely similar manner how Gojo was able to kill it. After breaking both Sukuna and Mahoraga's ankles, it was destroyed with a blast from Hollow Purple that completely annihilated it. Interestingly enough, it seems that Mahoraga is the only Shikigami that does not transfer its power upon its demise, but every other Shikigami does. Mahoraga has been killed twice at this point, but there isn't a Mahoraga 2.0 or a Shikigami that vaguely looks like it running around anywhere. It's just the same Mahoraga being summoned over and over again. It was stated that a member of the Gojo clan and a member of the Zenin clan have both killed each other in a spectated match, and it is heavily implied that Mahoraga was the deciding factor in that fight, which plays similar into how Sukuna used Mahoraga against Gojo. Gojo was killed by Sukuna after Sukuna adopted Mahoraga's process of adaptation and decided to slice the space that Gojo resided in rather than Gojo himself. I go into this on a deeper level in another video I made recently, about a month and a half ago, so make sure you go check that out. I'm actually go into, huge depth about how that whole spatial situation kind of worked out. Mahoraga has been stated to not have been tamed, as it is extremely volatile and pretty much attack the first person it sees, including its user, as when it almost bashed Megumi's brain in, but it is believed that since Sukuna killed it the first time, it was subservient to him, so it's implied that Mahoraga was tamed by him. Overall, Mahoraga is incredibly cool. I absolutely love this thing's design. I love how it looks. I think that the animators did a fantastic job displaying how lethal this thing was. Come season 4 or late season 3 of the anime, I believe they're going to do a fantastic job with him, and well as his fight with Sukuna and Agito. They're going to give Gojo so much sauce, it's going to be ridiculous. Hopefully they get into better conditions, but Mahoraga is absolutely lethal. Now, as far as Mahoraga going against some of these top tier level players in Jujutsu Kaisen, it's kind of hard because this thing does not really have a personality of itself. It doesn't really have a drive other than just fight. It has a limited level of intelligence, as it could kind of tell that what Gojo was kind of up to, but it really will just go to the command of its user if they are stronger than it. Mahoraga is honestly the defining factor into why I think we need a different class other than special grade. I think we need something higher than that, because Mahoraga is just absolutely ridiculous. Sukuna was able to low diff Jogo, and he had a fairly hard time with Mahoraga before he was able to figure out its ability. Now, granted, once you're able to figure out Mahoraga's ability and kind of get over it and attempt to one-shot it or overwhelm it with so much stuff, it's not really that big of a deal, but it's just that, I don't know, man, this thing against a lot of matchups, it's not looking good for a lot of our protagonists, man. It's really not. I'm not gonna make a claim that no one else from Jujutsu Tech could take Mahoraga. I mean, obviously Yuta could, probably with Rika. I mean, Yuta has so much stuff in his repertoire and so many different techniques that he's copied. We really don't know what he was doing in Africa besides training. We don't know if he was going around fighting sorcerers at that time or anything like that, even though, Jujutsu only exists in Tokyo, blah, blah, blah. I hate it, whatever. But I definitely think Yuta could probably take Mahoraga. There's no way Yuji's taking Mahoraga. There's no way Hakari is taking Mahoraga. There's no way that Maki's taking Mahoraga. I don't know, man. It's just this thing is so OD, bro. Gojo is literally the only one that could take it. I know all y'all Gojo stands don't like my videos because I don't glaze them as much as your average person does, but this thing is different, bro. So yeah, literally I can only see Gojo and Sukuna taking this thing out. I mean, Kenjaku maybe, but we still don't know what all Kenjaku has in his repertoire. You know what I mean? So yeah, but it's me, boy Daffy, guys. Just thank you guys so much for joining me on this video. I appreciate the love and support recently of these videos. Just thank you guys so much. Let me know what you guys think about Mahoraga. Do you guys love Mahoraga? Do you hate Mahoraga? Do you guys think that Mahoraga is cute or something? I don't know. But yeah, it's me, boy Daffy, guys. And I will see you guys in the next video. Now make sure you take care of yourselves and have a good one. Peace.